What's up, everybody? Welcome to an all-new episode of Why Am I Nervous? It's Outfitted Video Games. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron James, and joining me today is Jason Porter, just Matt, and after a very long email from Microsoft declaring that we need, demanding, I should say, that we have a Xbox and Microsoft representative on this show, Justin Vitale.
Hello.
So it has been an interesting week, needless to say. My gaming this week has been next to nothing because I've been glued to my phone and Fox News and waking up at 7 a.m. And I gotta say, waking up at 6:30 and watching Fox News makes me feel like an adult. It's awful. I hate everything about it. I was waking up at 6:30 to watch I don't want to watch Lovecraft County or something on HBO.
Country.
Did you watch it?
Good. Yeah.
I only watched the first episode and I was like, okay. This is not
interesting. It's definitely an interesting show.
It was not what I thought it was going to be at all.
No, yeah, it's definitely it's a fun watch. It's weird, but it's a good way. It's my kind of weird. Yeah, it's only 8 episodes.
It's cool, and I mean, I was definitely going to finish it, but I mean, I just haven't obviously had time. But yeah, I was actually kind of surprised by how much I liked it. You know, because I know it's by who's the dude that does was it by J.J. Abrams and the guy that does like those like what was the movie fucking.
Jordan
Get Out.
Peele. Well, he produced it. He didn't direct it or anything. It's just from his production company.
Jordan Peele's or J.J. Abrams?
Yeah, Jordan Peele's.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty good show. But so I got to ask, what has everybody been doing and playing then during this lovely week? Matt?
Not me first. No, not me.
Not you. Jason?
No, not me.
Cameron, I'm in the same boat as you. Nothing. My intention has been laser focused elsewhere since Tuesday, so nothing. I did play all the way through Oxenfree though last week. Very game. I liked it.
What ending did you get?
Oh God, they left, and so it was weird because I had the option to like restart the game in, I guess it was like new timeline or something, and then the stuff is different on the boat on that first scene. Like Alex is like, wait a second, this has all happened before. Like,
really? I didn't do that.
She knew something was up, and I only got to the island. I didn't play anything after that. So it was like the first maybe however long that was, 15 minute conversation that they were having on the boat. And then I just shut it down.
So what was your original ending then? Because I think the brother can either stay dead, right?
So he stayed dead. I did. Who is the bitch? Clarissa. I saved her, and yeah, everybody lived happily ever after. And then the timeline reset, or maybe not. I don't know. I would definitely go and give it another playthrough. It took, I think, 4.5 hours. 5
That's
hours
what mine was about. Yeah,
to play through. But knowing now where kind of like the best way to walk around and do everything. And I got all like the letters. I got a lot of the collectibles and stuff too. So I was sticking around with that. If I were to play it through again, I'm pretty sure I could do it in probably almost about 3. I'd say 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people said that the game was. I remember, Matt, I think you told me it was like 15 hours on the show last time. And then I beat it in like 5.
It's also been like years since I've played it, so I was just kind of making.
I didn't realize how old,
and also that was for somebody who platinumed it. So
you have to play it through twice to platinum it.
I want to see at least twice.
Yeah, you have to. Justin, what about you? What are you up to?
Well, you should have started with me because I'm about 3 hours into my first playthrough of Oxenfree. So now I'm just like, all right, there's a lot of what I was expecting to happen. So there's that.
Justin, spoiler alert.
Whoops.
Yeah. Whoops.
Well,
no, it's all right. It's all right. It actually, I'm playing that. I was playing that in the bed the other night on my tablet. Jason, you're going to be very happy to hear that I have picked up No Man's Sky and I have plunged about 180 hours into it in the past month and a half.
That's what happened.
I went off the deep end real bad. I'm playing Among Us with my Discord buddies. I'm having a great time with that. This week was just Destiny getting ready for the new expansion right now.
Interesting. Well, I didn't realize you were playing Oxenfree, so completely our fault on that one.
That's all right.
But Matt?
You should always give a fucking spoiler tag, just gonna say. Even if it's already been mentioned before, you should always still Come on.
Yeah, but you can someone always chime in and be like, "Oh, I'm playing that. Hold on."
No, it's all right. It's all right. I knew where it was headed. I had a feeling by the way the game was progressing, it was going to branch off and there was going to be multiple paths and everything. It's something I think my wife would actually enjoy playing because she played Life is Strange and she really enjoyed that
she would definitely like Oxenfree then.
Yeah, it really had. I was watching her play Life is Strange and it really had the similar feel from when I was playing Oxenfree. I was like, you should check this out, and so she might, but.
I was thinking the exact same thing about maybe an hour into it, where I'm just thinking like, you know what, this has a lot in common with, even the graphical style of Life is Strange in some spaces or in some parts of the game.
What was the game, Justin, you said the other day to me that was similar to Maniac Mansion?
Thimbleweed Park.
Yeah,
it's just like Maniac Mansion is just like it was Thimbleweed Park was such a callback. It actually reminds me more of the two characters in the game remind me of Mulder and Scully, like right off the bat. Like it had serious X-Files vibes, but it's old school friggin' point and click and text-based adventure, and it was a great experience. You can get it on anything.
I think it's on Steam.
I think it's on Games Pass right now, for crying out loud.
Is it really?
It was at one point. I don't know if it is anymore, but yeah.
I'll have to look into that on my computer. But Matt, what are you up to? I know you were just saying before you were playing Little Nightmares.
Yeah, I feel like I got to get it out of the way. In terms of what I've been doing this whole week has just been a lot of stressing out about the launch of the new console. I know you texted me yesterday and you were like, "Oh, what's your fucking plan?" I went down a Reddit rabbit hole yesterday and I feel like I'm hungover because of how much time I spent in one thread of all these people commenting like where they're getting their console from and how they're freaking the fuck out because at this point they haven't been charged and their shit hasn't shipped out yet. And I'm just getting scared because technically my pre-order isn't my pre-order, it's Eric's and it's on his Best Buy account. But he gave me his login credentials so I could at least check in and just see what's going on it. But it also scares the shit out of me because the pre-order's still there, but I'm just stressed the fuck out that something's going to happen when they go to ship it and they go to charge the card and something's going to happen and they're going to go, fuck it, we're just going to cancel this. And then I'm not going to end up getting it. So I'm just super pessimistic right now, but I need to just fucking wait and just be patient. It's probably going to start. They're probably going to start getting shipping notifications and charges tomorrow. I know Sony has already shipped out consoles. They've already been shipping consoles out for the last couple of days, but it just says, this will absolutely not deliver early. It will be delivered by the 12th. But people in Target people are freaking out because Target's projecting ship dates for the following week, sometime the week of the 16th delivery. And I think that applies for
pre-orders?
Xbox. For pre-orders, for pre-orders online, they're projecting their ship date would be the 12th or the 13th. And the ship date, the delivery date will be sometime the following week, which in truth, if that happens, that is what it is. Whether it's Xbox or PlayStation, you should just be happy that it's shipping out. You'll get it. I'm just worried at this point. I'm just so paranoid that it's going to somehow get canceled or something's going to go fucking wrong. And I'm just not going to end up getting it. And all I want to do is just play Demon Souls. That's it. That's what I want to do. I want to play Demon Souls. I want to be pissed. I just want to be, that's what I want to do. So.
I don't know how anybody would have mindset right now with everything going on to play fucking Demon Souls, but
that's how I de-stress. That's how I get rid of stress as I play games like that. That's because listen, if I can deal with the shit that's going on now, I can handle getting my ass fucking some giant dragon 50 or 60 times before I finally kill it. I can deal with that.
All right. I guess I'll give you that. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm still fucking around with Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah. Do you like it?
I do. Some of the missions I can't stand. I hate racing missions in fucking games, period, especially when I have
It's not fun in that game at all.
It's so no. I like the first one that you have to do when you have to infiltrate the street gang, whatever it is. I lost that race 5 times. I was like, what the hell? This is just annoying. And I'm also playing Shadow Tactics.
You were telling me about that.
Blades of the Shogun. It's from the guys that made Desperado 3. It's
Oh,
It's a tactical RPG. I mean, each mission takes there's 15 missions. I think it's 15 missions. 15 missions. Each mission takes about an hour, depending on how good you are. I'm terrible at those games. I'm just not smart enough.
I hate them.
I'm just not smart enough to come up with a good plan. So I just end up fucking I think it said like my save count for the second level was like 37 saves and like 40 reloads. I was like, all right. I was like, well, obviously this is not for me, but I actually like it. I think it's pretty fun. The art style is kind of cool. It's like the kind of reminds you of like the old school Marvel Ultimate Alliance. You know, it was like kind of like comic booky shaded. So I like it. It's fun. But yeah, hopefully I can finish Sleeping Dogs within the next couple, maybe week or so. I'm taking my time with it and just kind of fucking around.
Cameron, I'm with you on like racing levels or racing missions in games like that. The one thing that always comes back, and that comes back to mind for me, I forget which one it is. I think it was GTA 2. It might have been GTA 3, where you have to it's like a critical mission. You can't bypass it. You have to go and like race these 3 or 4 other cars. It got to the point where I'm just like, after 25, 30 times, I'm like, fuck it. I got the cheat code. The second that race started, I spawned in a tank and I just fucking shot these things.
That's awesome.
There's
my car and just like leisurely strolled through the city.
I remember that there was a mission in Vice City that I was so fucking frustrated with years ago. And it was like, you have to go to like the mall in Vice City, and then you have to like fuck up all these stores in there. And then by the time you're leaving, you have like a 5-star wanted level. And I remember I just not being able to get away in a car. Like it just never worked out. So I would always go to the mission, get right outside. I would spawn a fucking helicopter, walk inside, so that all I had to do was just walk out, get in the helicopter and fuck off.
I'm gonna say on the record, the worst GTA is fucking San Andreas. I don't care what anybody says. That game fucking sucks. I hate that game because I hate the fact that I have to work out. I gotta eat. I don't want to do that. So fucking play the goddamn game. So fuck you, San Andreas. But on that note, once again, this is Why Am I Nerd % Alpha Beta Gold, where you can follow us on Instagram, Why Am I Nerd Official, Facebook.com/Why Am I Nerd, and listen to new episodes every, Monday, Tuesday, whenever the fuck I put it up. Normally it's Monday. But anyway, here we go. So today we are talking about, obviously, it's the last, few days before the next gen gets released. And interestingly enough, I think Matt is the only one that actually has a next gen console pre-ordered.
Allegedly.
Listen, I think supposedly I have it, but I see, like I said, I see it on Best Buy. It says we'll ship by the 12th. So it's there. And all things considered, when these pre-orders first went up, whether it was Xbox or fucking PlayStation, granted PlayStation's was much more rocky. Lots of people were getting their pre-orders canceled for a lot of different reasons, because either when they originally put the charge in, their credit card company said, this looks a little suspect to me. And then they just said, fuck it, we think this is fraud. So they canceled it. Or they just didn't have enough pre-orders and too many people somehow got in. So they said, okay, we only have 5,000 units. So everybody after this point just gets fucked off and goodbye. So at this point, the fact that it's still there, says it's awaiting authorization, all that good shit, I have to imagine it's legitimate, but that doesn't mean there can't be problems going forward. So trying to be positive, but I'm very classically pessimistic, and I expect that the worst possible thing is going to happen.
Well, I hope you get one before any.
Me too.
At least then one of us can have it, because obviously the reviews have gone up, and surprisingly enough, and I texted Matt about this before, the Series X and the PS5 both scored an 8 on IGN, and the Series S got a 7 from IGN. Not surprised about the S getting obviously a lower score, just simply based on the specs and the whole concept behind it. But what do we think about the fact that the X and the S scored the same? I know some people say it was political. Some people say their systems are just, that close to being the same. I have seen that just from snippets of when you reviews sometimes have that quick one sentence of the review. I have seen though that it does seem that they are saying that the PlayStation 5 is more next gen than the Xbox Series X, but the Xbox Series X seems to be faster than the PS5.
I've read a couple reviews. I did some digging on Reddit. I was playing catch up and I was listening to a couple of the older podcasts, and you guys were talking about like I'm an Xbox fanboy. Like, don't get it wrong. Like, I've had Xbox since the original console. Like, I've had a PS2, I had a PS3. I didn't get it. I had a PS4 for No Man's Sky, then immediately got rid of it because, well, that wasn't the game. But anyway, the controller is definitely a huge part of what Sony's trying to deliver with their next gen experience. You know, I feel technical specs, the consoles in terms of what Sony's doing and what Microsoft's doing. Yeah, the Series X is a little bit more powerful. You know, I watched some videos on load times, and almost every game was loading faster on the Series X. In terms of what's inside it, it's almost pretty much the same hardware. Like, it's really going to come down to now, like, what do you really want to play? You know, like, I know I'm getting a Series X. I think the design of the console's significantly better than whatever that portal turret is that Sony's trying to sell.
Shots fired. Here we go. Fuck you, Microsoft, and your goddamn emails. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I'll probably end up getting both at some point, but I mean, I think that Microsoft can't keep up with PlayStation exclusive games.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
No. Microsoft bought Bethesda, for crying out loud. Like, that's huge. Like, that is you got Elder Scrolls, and you got their Starfield, the new IP that they're putting out. And then, you know, let's not forget, many years ago, Microsoft also bought Mojang. You know, I'm a big Minecraft player. I always have been, even before that happened. So, I mean, yeah, Sony may have better first-party games, but even at launch, neither console's pushing out anything that's new or revolutionary. You know, nothing is really going to be a new experience. You know, you got Demon's Souls and Spider-Man, but they're essentially games that we've played or experienced already. We're just going to have an upscaling and up-res or a better frame rate, which, you know, it's too early to see what either console can really do in terms of capabilities, I think.
Well, that's what I wanted to comment on too, was the load times that I've been seeing too for the Series X loads games faster. Mm-hmm. The catch with that, though, the caveat though, is that it's loading games faster, but it's loading games from current gen. It's loading, an Xbox One game. So it's loading current gen games faster than a PlayStation 5 loads a current gen game. So let's just fucking say Doom Eternal, it loads, on a Series X, it loads it in 48 seconds, and on a PS5, it loads it in a minute. Fine. That's okay. It's still faster no matter what. So everybody benefits from that. But the key factor with it, though, is that PlayStation 5's design, the reason why the Series X is loading the games faster is because they're previous gen games, whereas the PS5's the really, really fast loading is specifically designed for the next gen games. So that's why, like, loading, I just watched a video earlier where someone is like, they show their console, they are on their dashboard, and they hit the X button to start up Miles Morales, and it's less than 8 seconds until he's in the game. That's impressive. But that's because it is a specifically made PS5 game. So that's where they're saying the load times come in. Like, yeah, okay, so if either console loads previous gen games faster, Xbox is doing it better. But with PS5 game load times, they're ridiculously fast. So that's the caveat, I guess you could say, with the lead times. But listen, everybody benefits from faster fucking load times. I don't know what I'm going to do with all the extra time I'm going to have playing Destiny and not sitting in orbit. Like, that's going to be revolutionary. I don't know what I'm going to do with all those extra minutes and hours that I'll save up. So,
well, I think
the flip side to what you're saying about Sony's quick launch, or the ability to launch their first party games, is that the Xbox has the quick launch. It's gonna suspend games in the background, and you're gonna play something else, and then you're gonna go back to that, and it's gonna literally pick up where you left off. And
I heard they said, like, even if you lose power in your house, like if the fucking power goes out, like as soon as it turns back on, it's just automatically back in the game. Which is fucking cool. That's really sweet. Yeah. And I heard rumors that like Sony might try to add some kind of real quick resume feature later on, but right now that's a pretty cool feature on Xbox. I'll say that's really awesome. Like just one tap of a button and like you're there. That's pretty cool.
That's a good point, because right now we're looking at hardware specs right out of the gate. I don't know what Microsoft calls their updates, but every so often Sony pushes out updates for the PS4 and it's under the generic increased system stability moniker, but there's improvements in the background. So I mean, we're all focused on hardware specs right now. I'm looking to see what in the future, what software specs or what software updates will kind of like smooth things out as the consoles, start to age.
I mean, if you look at them too, like the fact that I was listening to another podcast and they brought up a decent point, and they actually referenced Demon Souls. Again, I've never played Demon Souls. I have no interest in getting my ass beat, but they were saying like, because the load times are so fast, what do you do when like they used to give you tips in between, during the load screen? It would tell you like a tip or tell you something about a story. Now it's like you don't even have time to fucking read it. So
there's no tips like that anymore, but they said they have the I forget the official name, so for now I'm just going to call it the cards. There's like the help cards for games. So like it'll drop a hint, like you can pull up a thing in game that has like a little card that'll like try to give you a hint in that area. And I remember reading for Demon Souls there are 180 cards to help people, give them tips in that game. Granted, I know what the fuck I'm doing, so I don't need any tips. I know where my rings are, I know where my weapons are, I know where my hidden shit is, so I don't need any fucking title cards and that shit.
And
ready.
Cameron, they're going to start to put the inserts back in the game box.
They better. They better start putting the fucking inserts back in the game box.
That way you can read all the weapons and stuff.
Yeah, that's all I care about.
While it installs. That's another thing I'm curious about is the install time. If it's going to be able to be any faster for like when we get the games. I don't buy games on disc anymore. My wife gets them occasionally. I know Matt's all digital, just like I am.
100%. Well, that's the one I'm getting is all digital. It's just the most effect. I can't fucking switch discs anymore. It's bullshit. I don't want to do
it. I'm happy that the Series X isn't coming. That has a 4K disc drive just for the sake of some of the movies I do watch on my 4K player. Like that's for me in personal preference. I do have an extensive, movie library, but that's not even a selling point at this point anymore.
Yeah.
I have a cat crying in the background.
It's cool. The cat's trying to voice their opinion on which console they want.
Yeah. I guess, a big thing too is that, you think about like, and I think Justin, you kind of said this in texting before, like, so obviously we're not really going to start getting probably any real serious next gen games for probably another 2 years. You might see it until it's, for its full potential. That's fair. Even Cyberpunk, like getting pushed back, I was not surprised by any means. I think I even called that on a couple episodes back that I think it was going to be delayed. But like I know everyone's talking about Cyberpunk and how it's going to push the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. I call bluff on that.
Yeah, it's not going to. There's no way.
I think it's going to push the current gen off the fucking charts, and I don't think it's going to play as well on current gen necessarily as it would on next gen, which is going to be interesting to see because I know, back when they were switching over from PS3 and to PS4, you'd look at the reviews and the PS3 version would get like a fucking, 7, and then the PS4 would get like a 9. It's like such a big gap that when do you really, I know PlayStation has said, and Sony has said that they were going to continue to support the PlayStation 4, but when do you say you got to stop supporting the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox, whatever 1X number thing they're at now?
Well, I still have a PS3 that I'm looking at right now that sees regular use. And I know some people still have PS2s that see regular use. So as far as the user base fully getting rid of like the older consoles and focusing only on next gen, honestly, I don't see that happening. really ever. I mean, there's still a diehard following for the original NES or the original Ataris out there. So
yeah, but they're not still producing games for those.
No. They're not producing games for them. But as far as like them completely going away, I don't see that happening. As far as the manufacturers shifting away from them, I would say for PS4, it's probably going to be probably in the 3 to 4 year mark, I would say. I think that's around the time when you really saw in the PS4's life cycle, around that like 2.5 to 3.5 year milestone. I think that's really when you started to see like all of and not only from the main producers, but also the retailers, the GameStops of the world. That's when they started like really getting away from having those older games in stock, and then ultimately even online. So midway through PS3, you really couldn't find PS2 stuff anywhere for them. Midway through PS4, you couldn't find any PS2 stuff, and the PS3 libraries, at least from the physical locations. I don't know what it was like online, but like if I physically walked into a GameStop, there were fewer and fewer and fewer older generation games available for purchase.
Well, I know they said like obviously Halo Infinite, that's going to be coming out for obviously the Series X. Is it coming out for current gen as well?
So Microsoft, I wanted to touch on this really quick. So because it cycles back into what you were just saying is, when do you stop supporting current gen? Well, Microsoft's approach with the Series X is any hardware you have right now with your Xbox One is going to work with your Series X. So like they're creating something now where, even all their first party games are going to be coming to Windows PC. So it's not like they're going to just be leaving behind a console. They're creating more of a system, or an ecosystem rather, to sustain everything. So Halo Infinite is going to be available not only on the Series X, but the One and PC all at the same time, and it's all going to be supported by so it's just, you can play however you want. If you have an older console, play it. If you got the new fancy shit, play on the new fancy shit.
I guess it gets interesting is where it starts to get difficult is like when you put out the next Horizon game, whenever the fuck that comes out, that's probably not getting launched on a PS4.
Horizon, the Horizon Into the West or whatever the fuck it's called. That is going to be, they said there's going to be a PS4 copy of it. And there was a whole fucking controversy. Sorry, Jesus, about that shit. Because then people were like, fuck, really though, you're putting it on PS4 because then you're going to have to make concessions because then you won't be able to do things in the PS4 game that you could do in the PS5 game. And the one thing that people were harping on Reddit, and I was like, fuck, that would be so cool if you could do that. Because in Horizon, what do you do? Like when you want to move quickly around the map, you get one of those deer fucking robots and you ride them across the map and it's super majestic. People were like, remember seeing that trailer? There were fucking pterodactyl ones. I want to fly on that shit. And they're like, that's probably not going to happen on PS4. It's probably not going to be capable of allowing you to fly on one of those things. So if they have to sacrifice that in a PS5, copy just so that they can make it on PS4, that sucks. Like, I would rather you just make your game exclusively for the next generation than start making sacrifices of like cool mechanics and things you could do just to have it spread across the, fully spread across the ecosystem. But I guess that's, small shit. But yes, they already said they're putting it on PS4. I mean, Miles Morales is on PS4 as well. So
I have no interest in playing that.
Well, no, I mean, there's plenty of games that are coming out where it's like, okay, what would I rather play this on? Would I rather play this on PS4 or would I rather play this on PS5? The vast majority of them, I would rather play them on PS5, not because it's next gen, but because of just the performance. That's why I want to wait to play it. Like I could play this week, like I could play the new Assassin's Creed. I want to play Valhalla, but I'm, if I'm going to be playing it on PS5, I'm going to eventually wait. I'll probably get it around like Christmas, but if everything goes tits up, I might be playing it on PS4 this week, but I want to play it because I want the better performance.
PS5.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want, that's the other debate too with these consoles. Oh, native 4K and all this shit. Everything's going to fucking look good no matter what. And if your choice of, you have the choice, what do you want to play? Do you want to play graphics or do you want to play performance? I'm always choosing performance. It will look good, but I want the faster frame rate and the overall better performance. Same thing
Matt,
for Destiny, Justin. I want fucking Destiny in 60 FPS so bad.
Do you have a 4K display that you play on?
I do. I have a Pro. I have a 4K, a Samsung 4K TV. Everything always fucking looks good. That's not my concern. You know, even with next gen, I'm not concerned about how it's going to look. And I don't, you know, people on PS4 or PS5 are pissing and moaning right now because it's not going to natively display in 4K. It's going to downscale it to like 1440, but what the fuck? It's gonna. Stop.
You're not gonna notice unless you have like an 85-inch fucking TV.
And
anyway.
that's it. Yeah, unless you have a massive TV that's like an OLED display, you are not gonna notice that shit. Your eyes are not that fucking good.
My neighbor just bought one of those.
Good for them, but that's
like, what the hell?
Good for them, but your eyes are not gonna fucking notice that. And then there's even the people on the forums that are like, "Oh, but what about 8K?" Shut the fuck up. You don't know what 8K looks like, dude. That's like people who are, I just saw an article this morning. People are talking telecom about 6G. Didn't we just get fucking 5G sort of? What the fuck?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Slow the fuck down. It's not, listen, there will not be 8K native resolution on these next gen consoles for like 5 fucking years. Probably not even until like PS6 and Xbox 2000. It's just not going to happen. So,
but the capabilities are there though, which is interesting. That
they have that ability to, but it's not there yet. It's not responsible for a game developer to say, yeah, we want this to be 8K, 120 frames per second, because most people won't have a display that can work that shit. So doesn't make any sense. Just make your games well.
If you're playing Minecraft, that shit don't come into play.
Exactly.
Listen.
Put your texture packs
Valid.
I want to buy myself a fucking fancy ass computer and with a great graphics card just so I can fucking get this ray tracing Minecraft off the ground and play it and experience it for myself, because I've seen some shit that has blown my fucking mind in what that game does. It's just unbelievable that this is a 10-year-old game and it is still impressing me at this point. Like, it's just, they're still reinventing it. They're still adding shit to it. They're still supporting it. And it's still, I sunk a good 3 weeks into it when the last update hit. And then I stumbled back into No Man's Sky, and then that consumed my whole existence. So.
Well, what's interesting is when you're talking about Minecraft and like games that, you know, necessarily won't exactly increase based on, you know, next gen or whatnot, necessarily totally visibly to the eye. And you mentioned Bethesda earlier, you know, obviously Elder Scrolls 6, whatever they want, or they're going to call it, ain't coming out for another 4 or 5 years. You know, Jason, you kind of touched on, you think that obviously they'll continue to support games for the PS4 until then. Let's be honest, Elder Scrolls and Fallout aren't the prettiest games in the world anyway.
Yeah.
Do we think that Elder Scrolls 6 will fall on Xbox One and PS4 as well, or do we think it's not getting to PlayStation at all? We think it's going to be solely on Microsoft, like just touching base on that, because there's been a lot of rumors on it.
No, so I think anything over that like 3 to 4 year mark, you're going to see solely focused on the next gen consoles, and it just look back at everything and moving forward, you know, whatever we get, PS6, 7, 8, whatever. I think after a certain point, Sony and Microsoft I'll stick with Sony just because I know Sony. I don't know the inner workings of the Microsoft ecosystem. But, you know, after a certain point, it just makes more sense for Sony to focus solely on one version of the game for the console that they know, even after that 3 year mark, realistically is going to still be around and used for the next 6 to 8 years after that. Even, you know, at that 3 year mark, if they're going to come out with a new console 4 years after that, they know that even 3 years after that new release, people are still going to be using the current gen console. So I think that 3 to 3.5 year mark is kind of like the shift point to where you're going to see stuff focused solely on that existing latest generation.
That's what you're going to say?
I think what it comes down to, you're going to look at, you have the hardware, you know, itself and the systems, obviously from Sony and Microsoft, right? But you have to, I'm looking at it from a different perspective of, you know, the developers and the publishers. You know, what do they want to support? How do they want to fill their pockets at the end of the day? You know, they know there's hundreds of thousands of millions of consoles out there. And, if they can design a game and then ship it with, less textures and not hurt themselves in the development process or delay a game for it, then I can see Sony shifting more towards just supporting a PS5, but I'm really intrigued to what Microsoft's doing this time around, because they're, backward compatibility is a thing, and they're fully supporting, like, the Xbox One is still a thing for them. Like, they're not like throwing it to the side. Like, there's set, like, a lot of the stuff is coming out for it, and it's going to be interesting to see that what's going to happen, in 3 to 4 years when we do eventually, because it happens with every life cycle of consoles. We get to that point where, this generation is going to be left behind. But, like I said, Microsoft supporting everything on the computer is just, that's a game changer, I think, for them. I think that's a step in the right direction.
So do you see Elder Scrolls coming to Sony, or do you think it's going to be Microsoft?
Yeah, so they've already said that Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 are going to be coming out. They're not going to just make it first party game for them, but Bethesda actually announced that when those games do come out, they're going to be on Games Pass day one, which I thought, that pays for the Games Pass subscription for the whole year right there. If they release in the same year, you definitely got your fucking money worth for that alone. I have Games Pass and I have no regrets about it. I've downloaded shit. I've experienced things that, I wouldn't have bought on my own. And I love it. I think it's one of the best things that Microsoft could have done.
Yeah. Sony's a little bit far behind on the Games Pass aspect of things, which kind of surprising. I, thought that they would probably be able to fix that by now, but maybe they just don't give a fuck, to be quite honest. I know, Matt, a while back I had said, do you think I should get the what was it called, PlayStation Now? Yeah, and you're like, if you're not hardwired in, it's not even worth it. And I'm not hardwired in. I'm obviously, my thing is all wireless, which I need to get hardwired because I could tell the difference, especially when they said that. Again, I was listening to a podcast. They said they downloaded, I forget what game they downloaded. Maybe it was Miles Morales or something like that. And it downloaded in 4 minutes.
Well, yeah, you also gotta remember too, like, a lot of those people, like, when they're citing their download speeds on the new consoles, they already have pretty fast internet. Like, it's like robustly fast internet, like somewhere from 500 megs to like gigabit internet. But even still, people are talking about, and I think it applies to both consoles, is the download speeds are faster because the systems are capable of, processing more information more quickly. So, downloads will likely be shorter, but you're still going to be, if you're downloading a fucking game like Black Ops Cold War that's like 150 gigs, it's going to probably take a little bit to download it. But that's the beauty for consoles now, is they took them forever to get on board, even though Steam was doing it, is pre-downloads. So anytime something's coming out, you pre-download that shit, and as soon as day one comes up, you'll get it. You'll be able to start it right up. Granted, now, obviously, provided everything goes well, I get this fucking PS5, I get home, I get it all set up, I'm gonna have to fucking start it up and go
update hell.
Go update it. The update won't take that long. That'll probably take a couple minutes, but then I got to go to the store. I got to buy Demon Souls, and I got to fucking download it. So it's still not something I can get going right away. But Astro's Playroom is pre-installed, so at least I can play Astro, get a feel for the DualSense controller, and I can do all that shit. But it's still going to take a fucking couple minutes. That's not a problem. I mean, my internet's not super fast. I think technically it's called a 75-75 plan. So it's 70 up, 70 down. But I typically see my speeds like in excess of like 80 something up to like 90 megabits per second. So, I mean, my internet's not that fast, I mean, compared to some other people I know. But I mean, one of my friends literally has gigabit internet. What's your fucking internet, Justin? Gigabit?
No. It's I usually download at about 300.
That's not bad.
It's blazing, dude. I love it.
That's why. But that's just it. 300 is good, but I'm doing pretty good with, 80, and it still downloads faster. I mean, most people that I know, I have friends who are I've said that like their internet is like 25 or 30 megs, which is technically considered high speed internet. Like 25, I think, is like the minimum or like 20 is the minimum for what is considered high speed internet. But I don't seem to need a faster internet connection right now. But
no.
Hey, 300's fucking awesome. Like, that was so funny because I remember when My friend Keith, I believe he had gigabit internet, and I think he said he downloaded Red Dead Redemption 2 in like 20 minutes. Or maybe less than that. It was fucking crazy. But 100+ gigabit game, he was just like done. Super fast.
What something that I think is interesting, talking about, obviously staying on this topic all day, is the fact of like, and I've said this before and I said it in the group chat, does Microsoft need to win this to stay relevant?
No.
Really?
Not at all.
I don't really, despite what people say and how shitty people can comment about, fuck PlayStation, fuck Xbox, whatever. I don't really think there's the idea of a console war shouldn't really exist anymore, because it's like Justin said before, and I think we've all said it previously on different episodes. Where do you want to fucking play your games? Like where are more your friends at? If you have more friends on Xbox, buy a fucking Xbox. If you have more friends on PlayStation, buy a PlayStation. Or you don't have friends on either one and you just play shit on Steam and then you get your friends there. Like that's it. What games do you want to play? Do you want to play Halo? Well, then get a PC, get an Xbox. Do you want to play The Last of Us 10? Sure, then get your PlayStation, whatever. That's it. There's no fucking war anymore. It's just, where do you want to put your money? That's it. It's not us fighting against each other. We're fucking gamers. Just play your games. That's what I want people to do.
Also, I found out very recently that you can download not on Apple because of how they their storefront is and how they control everything, but on Android devices you can download the Xbox Games Pass app, subscribe to the Games Pass, hook up your Bluetooth controller to your tablet, and play any game that's on the Games Pass, provided you have the subscription right on your Android device, and it works. I was playing Destiny 2 in my bedroom, and I was like, "This is great.
This is so fucking futuristic and weird."
Yeah, it was. It was very bizarre. It was not anything I expected. But I think Matt's right. I don't think, in terms of a console war, I don't think it's something that either Sony or Microsoft needs to win per se. I think they're both doing something different. They're both. This is one of the first times I think that we're looking at two consoles now that, are ahead of the curve in terms of technology, and they're actually like anticipating things to improve, which is why we're getting 8K capable consoles. Whereas, 4K was just, coming out when the PS4 and the Xbox One, were happening. And then like it took 4 years for us to get these Pro and whatever fucking the One X, whatever I have out there. I don't know what it's fucking called. But like,
see, even the fucking
I don't even
Microsoft
know.
fanboy doesn't
I don't
get
know what it's called.
means.
It's an Xbox, for crying out loud. That's all it is. But like now we're actually seeing that they're like, okay, let's get ahead of this curve. And it is, so in terms of winning it, I think they're already both winning. I think that they're both anticipating things that are going to be coming out in the future.
Yeah, I think the last time there was actually a console war was when the PS3 was coming out and whatever Xbox at the time. And that was 2000. Sorry?
That was the 360, I believe.
360.
Yeah.
So it would have been circa 2008, 2009. I know Sony's biggest thing was, hey, we have a native Blu-ray player in this. And, that was one of their big marketing things. The early to mid 2000s, definitely console wars going on. Anything after, like, I want to say the PS4, right around that time, they were both very well established. And to go back to what Jess mentioned a minute ago, now they're both ahead of the curve. They're looking to see, okay, this is how far gaming technology has come in the past X number of years. This is how far, supporting supporting technology. So the TVs, the displays, the panels, the download capabilities, the processing capabilities have come in the past 2 or 3 years. We can use that to extrapolate out where things are going to be to a very, very high degree of probability over the next, call it 4 to 8 years, 4 to 6 years. And, with the 8K, they're kind of looking forward to that. So as far as both of them being a console war, no, I can't see a situation where either of them would be directly competing against each other. At this point, if you know where you are, if you have both, you have both. But if you prefer one to the other, you know exactly where you are. you know where your loyalties lie at this point. So, and I think both companies recognize that. And Microsoft has way too much other shit going on to quote unquote fail or lose the war. But yeah,
So
I don't see.
So you don't think it's going to be another Nintendo Sega thing?
No,
because
Definitely
obviously,
not.
Obviously Sega's last hope was, I guess it was the Dreamcast,
The Dreamcast, no,
or was it the CD?
No, the Dreamcast. Well, they botched. Was it the Saturn? They botched. They
Sega Saturn.
They botched it with a few. Let's be honest.
Well, with the Saturn, they were like at E3 here. Hey, this is our new console. Oh, by the way, you can go buy it now, and nobody was fucking prepared for it. And then the poor Dreamcast came out. Amazing fucking console. Had some great games. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Soul Calibur, and then. But the damn games, the fucking CD burners were out at that point, and they weren't fucking copied. You could fucking burn Dreamcast games and give them to your fucking friends and play them. Like, that was it. That just fucking crippled them. So, like, they had no choice. Like, they bit their own ass. Like, and now I just read that they just had to voluntarily let go people, and they're pretty much fucked.
I know they just sold their arcade and whatever that was all about. I didn't really get too much.
They sold off their like in-house arcades to a company called Genda, I think is what it's called, for like 8-point-something billion yen. So now they own it's like an 80-81 something split, or like a 80-20 split, something like that.
I mean,
ownership. So
it'll be interesting to see what Sega even does going forward. I mean, I don't really. They just keep staying quiet.
If Atari can put out a new fucking console these days, I guess anything's fucking possible.
Yeah, but that Atari thing, I haven't heard.
I'm just saying, dude.
I don't know what that's going to look like. Is that going to be like? Yeah, but is that going to be like? What is that? Like, no one even knows what that is.
Oh, it's probably retro shit. It's probably all
that's
their
what I
old shit.
Figured.
It's probably it's probably nothing.
Well, Google Stadia came and went faster than fucking the wind. What did you say, Jason?
The what? The what? Oh.
Jason or me?
No, I'm saying the what. I was making a joke about the Google Stadia.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, I was like the what, and
out there. No, because Jason was talking at the same time. So fuck you.
Over the top.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the other thing too. People went out and bought that stupid Stadia thing, and then fucking just never worked. So I mean, nice try, Google, I guess. And I know Apple says they're going to put out a console one day. Just look, at the end of the day, you should probably just stop. Like, you're not going to get that market. But, like you said, like, you guys don't think that Microsoft needs to win. I will respect your guys' decisions on that. And, obviously, I do think it'll be interesting. I know that obviously they always say that Microsoft doesn't have the foreign market as well as PlayStation does.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with that.
So, again, if everybody buys a Series S over a Series X because of the price difference, then that's, at the end of the day, like, why does Microsoft even care? They're still selling the console and you're still able to play, but again, the thing I have with S real fast, Matt, you look itchy to say something. Is that like, is the S just the one with the capability of playing all next gen games? Matt, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I think I got a inclination that the Series S is going to be discontinued probably within a year and a half. 2 years tops. I think that's going to go. They're not going to sell enough of those that it's really going to make a difference. I mean, the one review that I used the best possible phrasing, I think, with the amount of space that's on the hard drive, they defined it as a claustrophobic lack of like space. Like, I think you have like 300 gigs, maybe less, of space that you can use. So it's like, if you get a Series S and you want to play Black Ops, your hard drive's pretty much fucked with one game. It's like you paid $300 for a box that can play one game. Then yes, you got the 1440, whatever, but I don't really see a lot of these selling, and I think that's just going to get to a point where they're going to go, yeah, it's not selling so great, let's just stop it. And then it's just, you just got to get the big box.
It's interesting that you bring that up, though, because the Series X, after all the OS and everything else said and done, has 802 gigabytes of storage, whereas the PS5 only has 667. So, like,
right,
that's a huge chunk too. Like, I mean, let's be honest.
But coming from someone who's getting a digital edition of it and is exclusively going to be, having shit installed on his hard drive, I guess I come from the school of, if you have too much shit on your hard drive, you don't necessarily need to expand it. You just need to fucking look at what's on there and delete shit that you're not playing.
Shit, I just bought myself an external SSD and I'm fucking 2 terabyte, plug that shit in. I'm good to go.
Well, I will more than likely at some point when they announce for Sony the compatible MV SSDs, I would likely expand at some point just to have a little bit more. But if it's a matter of like, I got to spend $300 to increase my memory by, a terabyte, it's not necessarily worth it, because if I'm playing a game, like I get Miles Morales, I play Miles Morales, I beat it, I get a platinum trophy, I'm going to delete it. And if I ever want to go back and play it again, I'll just download it again. But I know too many people who hoard shit in their hard drives, and it's like, you have this game that you literally haven't played in 6 months or a year, and it's just fucking sitting there, and then you're like, no, I can't delete it because I have to have it. And then they're pissing and moaning because they're running out of space. Fucking delete something. It's like your physical library. If you're running out of space in your fucking house, what are you going to do? You got to get rid of shit. It's just, that's just how it is. Just manage your shit better. You don't necessarily, and sure, I would love to have more memory just out of the box, but I can work with 700 gigabytes. I can work with that. No problem at all. I don't know.
I maxed out the bat cave here. I don't have any more shelving space for anything. So I could find a new room in my house and move on with my life and go somewhere else. But interesting thought that the Series S will be canceled. You're discontinued. Then it's become, does it then become a nostalgia thing of like, oh, you got one of those? This thing's gonna be worth fucking $2,000 one day because they don't fucking make them anymore.
It's gonna be like a Zune, dude. No one's gonna give a shit.
I was thinking Virtual Boy, actually. That was where I was.
Oh God.
Let's not forget about that.
But that's again,
you like red.
Yeah.
That like was the color red.
Well, do you remember the one console? It wasn't really even a console. It was like this headset thing, and it only had one screen over the one eye, and you had the controller, and it was a headset, and you covered one eye, and you could see out the other eye, and you had to close one eye just to be able to.
Were they trying to get kids trained to fly Apache helicopters?
Bro, it was the weirdest thing. My parents bought me one day for Christmas, and I just remember I had freaking Terminator, like the Terminator arcade game on this fucking thing. And I remember just sitting there like this, look up at the sky, because you had to like look at the fucking light in the ceiling, get the
God.
It was a nightmare.
What I would pay to be a fly on the wall 20 some odd years ago, watching Cameron like,
I think my cousin's grandfather, so not related to me directly, actually thought I was mentally handicapped that day when I was playing that, if you want my honest opinion. But before we get into some next gen concerns and what's next for Nintendo, here's a quick word from our sponsor.
Why Am I a Nerd podcast network has been brought to you by our sponsor, Me Moms. The best breakfast and lunch down the Jersey Shore with 3 great locations in Wall Township, Middletown, and Brick, New Jersey. Me Moms specializes in unique and fun takes on your traditional lunch and breakfast items. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can find more information at www.memoms.com.
Well, we're back, and we were just talking before, as our sponsor message was going on, that Walmart, we just said before, is if you're interested in getting a PlayStation 4, you can get it. I guess it's like a pre-order launch day thing. 5. It's like a pre-order launch day thing at 9, 12, 3, and 6 on Walmart's website. You're probably not going to get it, like Matt was saying, till probably the following week, maybe even 2 weeks, the week of Thanksgiving. So just something to look out for if anybody's trying to get one. There you go. There's our update on how you can get a PS5. But moving on with that, I just want to go over what are some current concerns that we would have for the the launch of the PS5 and this Xbox Series X that may pull back. Obviously you had the Ring of Death Red Ring of Death back on the 360. The PS3. Their concern with that console was just it was fucking huge and didn't really perform, I don't think, as well as people necessarily thought it was going to. And then I've seen a couple things online that the PS4 is overheating in the display consoles, at I guess the GameStop or wherever it was showing people being able to play at. So what does that really say about the fan and the ventilation of the system if it is, obviously it's the PS4 or 5 I'm talking about specifically right now, is it's a bigger console than the Series X by all means, and probably is going to be outside, not necessarily inside of a display cabinet. So, Jason, starting with you, like, what are some concerns you have on both ends?
As far as the cooling capability, none. Yes, it's a bigger console. It's also a much bigger heatsink. It's also a much bigger fan. There's a lot more ventilation. Pretty much every space on the back of that console that is not a dedicated like port is ventilation.
But they're already saying it's overheating in a display.
Yeah, but it's in a display case in a fucking plastic coffin, dude. You put a human being in an enclosed space, they're gonna die.
So long as you have any, so like my PS4 or my PS5 are in a cubby hole on my TV stand. So they're not like they're not in a cabinet. There's not a ton of airflow there, but it is pulling air in. As long as there's good airflow, I think you're fine. Matt actually sent the link out the other day where it was a video that somebody that had a test unit was playing Miles Morales, and they were going from the TV, like showing the live action, like that the game wasn't paused, and then going like right next to the console, whisper quiet, could not hear a thing. My concern, if any, is that we're going to have a repeat of Christmas Day. I don't even know when it was, 2014, maybe, whenever the PS4s came out, like their servers were hacked and they were crashed. And
I forgot about that.
That was a good time for an Xbox player for me. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a good time for a Sony guy. That's my biggest concern. Like, okay, something like that is going to happen again. And I know Sony's going to be hyper vigilant and hyper aware that, hey, okay, we really beefed up the security. They're looking for shit this time, but still, I always kind of like the past couple of months, I've been like having flashbacks to that. I had this brand new console and I literally couldn't play it could not play Destiny for like 3 days.
Justin?
No, I got nothing. I agree with all of that. Like, I think that, in terms of concerns and shit like that, like, I mean, the Red Ring of Death was obviously a huge misstep for Microsoft, and I hope that they learned their fucking lesson from that horrible travesty that occurred, and it was a nightmare, and I hated it. But, we're not shipping a Kinect this time, thank God, because, like, so there's, I really think that in terms of, the only thing really, like, both consoles, I have really nothing negative to say. The only thing I really I still don't understand the design of that PS5 in terms of, it's huge. It's gigantic. You got to literally make room for it. It's not something that you're going to easily slide in. But in terms of what could happen during launch, any concerns, just not having enough stock. I think, both companies right now might have underestimated the demand for, these new consoles. I think, the pre-orders were a shit show. Obviously it was a little worse for PlayStation, but like, I couldn't even get on to Amazon or Best Buy or Walmart. I couldn't get on to anything to get a pre-order, and it was gone in minutes for the Xbox. So, I'm going to try and find one on Tuesday, but I'm not going to be very optimistic about it. But I think anytime we're going to see a console like this, there's going to be probably server issues or connectivity issues trying to connect and download things just because of the massive influx of people that are coming on. But I really can't think of anything that would be a potential catastrophe for either one, other than a bad heat sink or improper ventilation or just an absolute catastrophic hardware malfunction.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, with the talk of the PlayStation demo units like overheating, it's just the situation that it's in. If you put these things in a glass box, a plastic box that's hermetically sealed, it's probably going to experience some issues at some point or another because it can't comfortably bring in cool air and then blow it out, because if it's just blowing hot air out into this box, it's going to just keep cycling in hot air and just get hotter and hotter and hotter. So I don't think that's going to be an issue for either one. I mean, they always recommend for any of these consoles, even with the current generation, put it in a place where it can breathe a little bit. Don't just put it in a fucking box and step away from it. I mean, my PlayStation Pro sits on a shelf, but the back of the console is wide open. It can breathe. I take it out every other week, and I take some compressed air and I spray it out just to be thorough and try to keep it clean. But I don't think overheating is going to be an issue for either one of these consoles. I think both of them took that design into, or that factor into their designs. And yeah, originally they were talking about the Xbox, how like somebody was saying that the amount of heat that was coming out of it was like a fucking furnace, but still it's doing what it's supposed to. If it's getting the heat out of it, that's what it's supposed to do. The heat does not need to be inside of it. It needs to be out of it. So if it's hot as fuck coming out the top of it, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's hot as shit, but it's still, it's doing what it's supposed to. I don't think that's going to be the biggest issue. I think I'm definitely with Justin. I think the biggest issue is this holiday season is just being able to find one. And of course you want to, Microsoft and Sony want to do that because they want to increase the demand, but you don't want to increase the demand and go, fuck, we can't deliver this, period. You don't want that to happen at all, because then people are going to be pissed and then they're just not going to want to get it and whatever. But I hope they're able to, I'm assuming after that initial those pre-orders and allocating stock and whatnot, they were already into production still. They're not stopping. They're still just making more consoles, but then they got to get them over, they got to bring them from overseas and all that shit. And that takes time. So I hope they can keep up with bringing them in. Cause I remember with PlayStation 4, or at least with, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it was like launch day, you couldn't get shit. And then like 2 weeks later, it was like, you could probably walk into most stores and just be like, there actually is stuff. I don't think that's going to be the case this time, or at least that soon, because you're not going to be able to walk into a store. I know they said with a lot of these, like on launch day, you can't, or at least for some retailers, not all, but you can't walk into the store and just buy one. You have to do it online. Okay, fine. I would say I'm hoping, let's just say by the beginning of 2021, like January 1st, you might have a reasonable chance of going into a store and saying, hey, do you have a PlayStation 5 or a Series X? And they go, yes, we do. And then you can buy one, or you can go on Amazon and just buy one off of there. Like, that's what I'm hoping for everyone's sake, that they can do that. But I'm not 100% confident.
Yeah, and just touching base on some of the heat stuff you guys are talking about, and we mentioned earlier about the fan of my PS4 Pro. Obviously, when it comes to playing newer games, is really loud. Like, obviously, if I'm playing an older game, like right now, like Sleeping Dogs is my PlayStation's quiet as fuck. It's an older game by all means. So obviously, new games coming out, with the PS5 and the Series X, they're probably not going to push it. Obviously, they're not pushing the consoles as hard as it will be. That 4 or 5 years down the road, when you start to really hear the fan maybe kick in. I don't know about the Xbox One, Justin, obviously better than all of us here, if that fan is loud at all when with some of the newer games getting put out. Again, Matt's told me multiple times he just thinks I need to clean my fan, which is why my fan is loud as fuck. But it is something that obviously showing off Miles Morales and saying, oh, the fan is quiet. Well, no shit, the fan is quiet. It's like, it's doing probably a quarter of what the console will actually be able to do.
Yeah, it's not pushing it.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens going, forward further down the line. Will, PlayStation 5 Pro be something coming out? Will an Xbox Series XXX be an option coming out? Like, who the fuck knows? Especially,
I'd buy that.
That's fucked up. It doesn't come with Pornhub. Relax. But it'll be interesting to see what happens when those games start to really push the systems and whatnot. Are you spending $500 now on an Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, and then 3 or 4 years from now you gotta go drop another fucking $300 to upgrade your console because for whatever reason they want to do. Matt, you said before that you felt that the Series S was going to be discontinued after a year or so. Do you think the same with the all digital edition PS5?
I don't know. That's another thing too. That's tough. The Series S, just because it's not the difference between PS5 disc and digital edition, they're the same fucking thing. That's why I don't think it's necessarily going to be an issue. It's the same console. There's no compromise. It's the only thing is you don't have a disc drive. So you can't pop a disc in it. You can't pop your movie into it. You can't do that. You have to download fucking everything. That's it. The Series S makes sacrifices in terms of its hardware, its performance, etc., to have that lower price tag. that's why I think that one will likely be discontinued. But the PS5 digital edition is like a fucking unicorn. Apparently it's like 80-20 on those in terms of what's available. Most people getting the PlayStation 5 are getting it with a disc. I am, I guess, one of the weird people that has the digital edition. But if I had to end up getting the disc one, it wouldn't matter. That's irrelevant. You know, I would go for either one. But no, they're the exact same console. So it's just a matter of your personal preference. Do you download shit and really don't ever have discs like I do? Then you're probably better off going with the digital edition. Do you buy games periodically and have like a large movie collection? Then you're probably going to want to get the disc one. But I don't think they're going to discontinue the digital edition necessarily.
Fair enough. Well, the
Justin
last
sounded
topic,
like an idea. I saw him looking.
Yeah, I was just thinking back to when the Xbox One was originally announced at E3, and they were like, "It's all digital," and everybody lost their fucking mind and said it was a mistake, and they ended up changing everything, and they put a disk drive in it, and and like here we are in the next console generation, and it's like, well, fuck, turns out they were actually thinking ahead of the game.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna challenge that for a second, because when they did that, they kind of worded it really fucking weird.
Yeah, you had to maintain an online connection, and there was a lot of fucking weird shit that happened. But ultimately, like you can see the groundwork for it. You got Games Pass. Let's just be honest. If you're playing on one of these consoles, you're fucking online. Like you don't have to be playing with somebody, but you're connected to the internet. Especially if it's an all digital console, you got to download the fucking games. For crying out loud. It just can't. And now here we are, and both companies now are delivering a digital console in one capacity or another.
Yeah, I think with them back when they did that, they just worded it really weird, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna be fucking hacked! I got someone watching this stupid Kinect camera. If I'm fucking watching Pornhub or whatever, someone's watching me jerk off, what the fuck I may be." So I think that was just a weird wording, but you're right. I mean, it kind of did.
Hence the Xbox XXX.
All right. Well, last thing I just want to talk about real fast, because we are running a little over on time here, is what does Nintendo need to do, if anything, now that we do have next gen, console with the PlayStation 5 and the Series X? Is Switch really considered next gen, or is it still going to be, is it still a console generation behind? And what do they need to do to kind of stay relevant? Again, they'll always be relevant. Their games are definitely more, I prefer to believe that they're kind of more focused on, kids, and they have kind of their IPs that they stick with, and they don't really, you're getting fucking Mario, you're getting Kirby, Yoshi, and every type of Mario sport event you could possibly fucking think of, on that. But is there going to be a time where Nintendo's kind of like, all right, we might need to figure something out here, because you got these consoles that are putting 8K out and we're still running, whatever the hell we're doing?
So Outback, the restaurant, will never be Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. It will never be that. Nintendo will never be Microsoft or Sony. Longhorn is fine with that. Nintendo is fine with that. At this point, they're both catering to completely different levels of, people who want a gaming experience. I know there are diehard Nintendo fans out there. Okay, great. Justin's diehard Microsoft. Most of us here are diehard Sony. Nintendo has the same thing. I think Nintendo knows where they are, and they're okay with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. They have some great games on the Switch. They have some great games. I mean, you think of modern day consoles, they can all really be traced back to Nintendo making everything as mainstream gaming wise as it is today. I think throughout their history, as the technology increased, you had, Microsoft and Sony would, and even Genesis back in the day, or Sega back in the day, would push the limits of that technology and get more bleeding edge. Nintendo kind of they kind of stuck with what they knew worked, and that was the family entertainment, the family console, bringing the family together. And that was the market they really pursued. So I think all three are going to be relevant. Two of them are going to be more relevant than Nintendo, but Nintendo is not going anywhere anytime soon. They're not going to be at the same level as the other two, but they're going to be around for many, many, many years to come.
Bro, Matt, I don't know what vibe you're giving off right now, man, but you are fucking stressing off.
Well, that's why. No, listen,
He's
hold on.
totally stressing, man.
I completely agree.
God.
Can I speak for a second? I completely agree with everything he's saying, but I have to piss so fucking bad that we gotta wrap this shit the fuck up, dude. I gotta piss so fucking bad. He's totally right. Nintendo doesn't need to do shit. People are gonna keep fucking playing Mario and Zelda until the day the fucking planet ends. That's it. That's like asking if they're going to be relevant is like, it's like, that's actually probably the best, way of putting it. It's comparing one fucking, one steakhouse to another. They're like, people are always going to go and get Nintendo shit. I just have to piss so fucking bad because I'm not used to doing an hour and a half long podcast.
It's actually only an hour and 5 minutes.
In any case, I drank a lot of coffee and a lot of water. So,
well, I guess it's a good way for us to wrap this up then. So, once again, this is
I'm sorry. I got to get the fuck out of here.
You can follow us on Instagram, YMinerOfficial, Facebook.com/YMiNerd. Catch new episode tomorrow, Monday at fucking 12 a.m. if you're up that early. I'm Cameron James. That's Just Matt has to go to the bathroom. Justin Vitale, Jason Porter. Until next time, we're out.